Power isn't something you're handed. It isn't something you inherit. And it's definitely not reserved for the loudest voice in the room or the flashiest talent on stage. If you asked Niccolo Machiavelli, the man who dissected influence, fear, and control, he would tell you this: real power is not built on luck nor on charm, but on precision as sharp as a blade and self-construction so relentless it terrifies those who watch. Think of American history. How many heirs to fortune vanished from memory, while self-made figures like Lincoln, Carnegie, or Jobs carved their presence into an era? The truth is simple. Privilege may open doors, but transformation decides who owns the room. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. Will you remain another face chasing attention, or will you become the presence that bends silence the moment you enter? In The Prince, Machiavelli never wasted ink on morning routines, vision boards, or the shallow hustle culture we glorify today. He wasn't interested in checklists or motivational slogans. He wrote about patterns, about rituals that forge an ordinary man into a presence so commanding that others have no choice but to bend around him, not because he shouts the loudest, but because his silence bends reality itself. This isn't about productivity hacks. This isn't about squeezing more hours out of your day. It's about something far more dangerous: transformation. History proves it. Think of George Washington. He didn't inspire loyalty with charm alone, but through rituals of discipline that made him untouchable in both war and politics. Presence isn't performance, it's a weapon. And if you don't sharpen yours, someone else will sharpen theirs against you. So, if you're tired of being invisible while louder, weaker men command the room, if you're done pouring your energy into people who only drain you dry, if you refuse to keep watching others take the stage that should have been yours, then this is where it begins. With the habits of the truly powerful, not the shallow kind, the Machiavellian kind. Habit 1. Control your face, then control the room. Before a powerful man bends the world around him, he bends himself. And it starts here on the battlefield of the face, because the first thing people read isn't your resume, your words, or your reputation. It's the flicker of your expression. Machiavelli warned, the man whose face betrays his emotions has already surrendered his throne. Machiavelli warned of the most dangerous weakness of all, emotional transparency. If they can read your face, they can read your mind. And if they can read your mind, they can rewrite it. That's why the first law of power is emotional neutrality. No flinching when challenged. No widened eyes when surprised. No nervous smile begging for approval. Because every micro-expression is a leak, an open door inviting others to step inside your thoughts. And the moment they enter, they own you. History has shown it time and time again. Leaders who lost control of their face often lost control of their throne. Never let your face apologize for what your mouth refuses to say. When someone insults you, stay blank. When they praise you, stay cold. And when chaos erupts, let your stillness speak louder than the noise. Because the powerful share one universal trait: their expression never betrays them. And that silence, it doesn't make them invisible. It makes them magnetic. People obey what they fear, and they fear what they cannot read, what they cannot understand. That is why stillness is not weakness. Stillness is dominance. It forces the room to lean in, to wonder what storm you're hiding behind that unmoved face. If your face tells no story, they're left guessing, and in that uncertainty they begin to follow. Habit 2. Think in leverage, not in labor. The average man asks, how hard do I need to work? But the powerful man asks, what lever can I pull that makes 10 others work for me? Machiavelli understood this timeless truth. A ruler's strength is not measured by how much he does with his own hands, but by how effortlessly he orchestrates the hands of others. This is the difference between the worker who breaks his back for progress and the strategist who moves mountains with a single touch. The powerful man doesn't grind, he positions. He doesn't drown in effort. He identifies the single pressure point that collapses the entire wall. This is the habit of thinking like an architect, not a worker. You don't aim to do more, you build systems that do it for you. You don't chase praise. You position yourself so that praise arrives uninvited, drawn to you like gravity. You don't argue to win, because you've already framed the battlefield so that winning is inevitable. The worker sweats to survive. The strategist stands still and watches the world rearrange itself around him. The powerful don't enter arguments to fight. They frame the conversation so that victory is already decided before the first word is spoken. Every day they ask a single question. What is the one action I can take that makes everything else irrelevant or effortless? And then they do that, only that, because the powerful don't carry burdens. They don't exhaust themselves pushing the boulder uphill. They pull the trigger, they find the lever, and with one precise move, they shift the entire mountain. Habit 3. Speak less, see more, control most. The man who cannot stop talking bleeds power with every word. Machiavelli warned, the more your speech multiplies, the faster your influence decays. The powerful never flood the air with noise. They let their words cut like a blade, precise, deliberate, impossible to ignore. And when they choose silence, that silence isn't emptiness, it's weight, it's dominance. It's the kind of quiet that bends the entire room toward them. The habit here is simple but lethal. Surgical speech. Cut your sentences in half. Strip away the weak words. I think, just maybe, kind of. They dilute you. Kill them. Don't rush to explain. Don't rush to fix. Instead, let silence stretch. Let it expand until the room begins to suffocate with its own thoughts. And watch as people expose themselves, fears, desires, insecurities, filling the silence you control. Because here's the law. The one who speaks least sees the most. The room is always talking if you're quiet enough to notice. A twitch of the lip, a change in breath, a glance that lingers too long. Every flicker is data. And while others spill their secrets in sound, you collect them in silence. While others broadcast their weaknesses, you collect their secrets. But understand this, your silence must be born of calculation, never of fear. In a world addicted to noise, silence is not absence. Silence is dominance. And the man who holds his tongue always controls the tempo of the room. Habit 4. Be feared for the unknown, not the obvious. Your resume doesn't make you powerful. Your mystery does. Because people don't fear what they can measure. They fear what they cannot predict. Machiavelli knew the truth about fear. It isn't built on what you've already done. It's built on what they believe you might do. That's why the powerful master the art of strategic unpredictability. You never show all your cards. You don't react to every provocation. You don't rush to correct every lie. Instead, you let people wonder. You let whispers grow. You want them saying, what would happen if he finally got serious? That question unanswered is power. Because real fear doesn't live in threats. It lives in restraint. Not in your actions, but in the implication of them. So never be too available, never be too transparent, and never let anyone fully decode your playbook. Because the unseen version of you will always be more terrifying than the one they think they know. Habit 5. Be hard to reach. Be impossible to replace. You cannot be powerful if people consume you like tap water. Machiavelli warned, a prince may appear accessible, but he must never truly be accessible. Because familiarity doesn't breed intimacy, it breeds contempt. If people can drain you whenever they wish, they will never respect you. That is why the powerful build two invisible shields. Scarcity, so access to you must be earned, never assumed, and irreplaceability. So when you do appear, your presence bends the system around you. The powerful are not always in the room. Their replies are never instant. Their time is never free. And yet, when they do appear, every eye sharpens, every ear listens, because access has been earned, not given. But scarcity alone is not enough. There is a second layer. The powerful make themselves indispensable. They master a niche, a role, a skill so singular that no one else can duplicate it. They become the keystone, the piece the entire structure depends on. Remove them and the system collapses. Protect them, and the system thrives. That is why proximity to the powerful is never casual. It is guarded, it is defended. They become so rare, so essential, that the entire system bends around their presence. And when you are both scarce and indispensable, you become untouchable. People stop testing you. They start protecting their proximity to you. Habit 6. Build alliances, but always from the high ground. The powerful do not walk alone, but they never build alliances out of emotion. They connect through advantage, not attachment, through usefulness, not dependence. Because an alliance born of sentiment is fragile, but an alliance built from leverage endures only as long as it serves you. Machiavelli made it clear, alliances are tools, not shrines. And the habit of the powerful is simple. Connect through usefulness, not dependence. Yes, be friendly, yes, be generous, but never let emotion become a leash around your neck. Simply compliment in public, observe in silence, and when necessary, cut in private. Give just enough to make others feel close, but never enough to leave yourself exposed. Because the moment they can reach your core, you've already surrendered the high ground. Always keep the higher ground in every connection. If they need you more than you need them, you are safe. But the moment you lean, the moment you depend emotionally, you've already placed the leash in their hands. The powerful man never leans. He builds bridges, yes, but only when he controls the terms of the crossing. Those first habits, they forged your foundation, your posture, your positioning, your psychological armor. Now comes refinement, because real power isn't about volume or theatrics. It's about control, so quiet it feels like gravity. Strategic, calibrated, lethal, without ever needing to raise your voice. Machiavelli understood this distinction perfectly. Power that screams is temporary, but power that shapes the room without effort, that is the kind that endures. Habit 7. Detect betrayal before it breaks you. Most people believe betrayal is rare. Machiavelli didn't. He knew it was inevitable, not because men are born evil, but because men are endlessly selfish when the situation tempts them. A friend today may become a rival tomorrow. A loyal partner may drift the moment ambition starts whispering in their ear. That's why the powerful adopt a simple mental law. Assume loyalty is temporary. But here's the trick. They don't act paranoid. They don't accuse. They observe. They notice the subtle things. A shift in tone. A delayed reply. A favor returned with excuses. A new alliance whispered into existence without their knowledge. They don't overreact. They prepare. They create options. They reinforce their defenses so when betrayal finally arrives, it doesn't break them, but exposes itself, and they are already 3 moves ahead. And when betrayal finally shows its face, the powerful have already moved. They've already withdrawn their trust or positioned themselves to strike without hesitation. This isn't fear, it's strategy, because the man who prepares for the knife never bleeds when it comes. Habit 8. React slow. Strike once, end completely. Weak men react instantly. They speak before thinking. They move before reading the room. And in their chaos, they lose control. But Machiavelli taught a sharper rule. Men must either be caressed or annihilated. Never anything in between. The lesson is clear. Stop reacting fast. Start responding with finality. The powerful delay their reaction, insulted. They go silent, surprised. They go still. Provoked, they let the moment breathe, and then, when the time is right, they strike once. Clean, cold, irreversible, no debate, no over-explaining, no emotional spill, just action, clean, final. That closes the loop, and this builds a unique kind of fear, because no one knows when you'll react. No one knows how you'll react. They only know this. If you do, something ends. A connection, a career, a comfort. That tension itself becomes your shield. Habit 9. Control the frame, even in silence. True dominance never comes from arguing harder. It comes from setting the rules before the argument even begins. Machiavelli mastered this truth. The prince doesn't overpower. He reframes. You don't need to be the loudest voice in the room. You only need to decide what the room will talk about. This is frame control. Before the meeting begins, you've already defined the roles. Before accusations land, you've already reframed the issue. You say things like, "That's not the real problem," or "Let's talk about outcomes, not blame." Even when silent, your posture speaks. Your stillness creates hierarchy. Your eye contact locks people in place. Your presence itself feels like a dare. Try to move me. And when you finally speak, you don't waste words. You speak in frameworks, mental scaffolding others are forced to climb. They're no longer debating you. They're trapped inside your structure. Habit 10. Operate in shadows. Reward in public. Machiavelli warned, public praise is never sentiment. It is strategy. For the powerful, this isn't kindness or cruelty. It's strategy. What they do in private shapes power. What they show in public shapes loyalty. Decisions are made behind closed doors. Punishments are delivered quietly. No spectacle, no bloodbath. Just vanished invitations. Withdrawn access. A silence that cuts deeper than outrage. But when they reward, they do it publicly. Not for ego, for impact. A public compliment. A gift. A simple gesture. Each one signals favor. It sparks competition. It makes people crave your approval, compete for your recognition, and slowly rearrange themselves around your presence. Generosity with precision. Kindness with power beneath it. That is how a myth is built. And slowly, without even realizing it, others begin to rearrange themselves around your presence. Habit 11. Evolve. Constantly but silently. This is the most dangerous habit of all. The weak plateau. They reach comfort, collect applause, and begin to rot inside that comfort. The powerful do the opposite. They evolve in silence. They rebuild themselves like assassins, quietly in darkness, requiring no validation, no applause. They hunt down their flaws and eliminate them privately. They sharpen new skills and reveal them only when the room breaks under their weight. They reshape their mind in silence, never asking for recognition. So while others believe they've figured you out, you arrive as someone entirely new, sharper, colder, quieter, unreadable. Because to the powerful, evolution isn't growth, it's weaponry. For the powerful, evolution is never about applause, it is about weapons. The old version of you must die, replaced with something sharper, colder, impossible to match. This is the transition, from habit to system. You've learned the habits, you've built the posture, you've hardened your presence. But Machiavelli would challenge you further, because habits alone aren't enough. Anyone can mimic them for a week. The real transformation begins when these habits stop being acts and start becoming your system. Not something you do, but something you are. Power becomes your nervous system, your default, your instinct. And that is what we build next. We don't just study power, we architect it into reflex. Now, you cross the threshold, you've internalized the rules, you've sharpened your habits. But Machiavelli knew this. Power is not sustainable unless it is systemized, etched into your daily rhythm like breath itself. 'Cause under pressure, when instinct overrides thought, what rises isn't your intentions, it's your training. Anyone can wear power like a costume, but the truly dominant hardwire it into their operating system. System 1. Ritualize reflexes. Don't wait for chaos to practice composure. Don't wait for disrespect to rehearse firmness. You must drill your responses until they are automatic. mental muscle memory so sharp that silence, stillness, and authority trigger without effort. Someone interrupts, your eyes lock, your voice cuts. Let me finish. Someone disrespects you, your answer is simple. That's not acceptable. Or sometimes, you say nothing at all. You let silence itself become the boundary. Then you build environmental rituals to harden your frame. Morning stillness, a moment of silence before the day begins. Evening solitude, a tactical review of how the world bent around you or failed to. Expose yourself daily to controlled discomfort. A cold shower, a tense silence in conversation, a moment of social friction you refuse to escape. These tiny tests forge psychological armor, and over time, pressure no longer rattles you. It activates you. Power stops being a performance. It becomes nervous system memory. You move with authority without effort. You respond without needing to think. System 2. Maintain a mental war room. Every prince Machiavelli respected kept one weapon sharper than his sword: awareness. The powerful become their own intelligence agency. Yes, they observe others, but more importantly, they observe themselves. Every day they review like a tactician. Where did I tolerate weakness today? Where did I lose the frame? Who pulled emotion from me that I never authorized? Conversations are replayed like battle footage. Every glance, every pause, every word analyzed. Who led? Who followed? Did my silence strike or did it collapse? Did I reveal too much or just enough? Weekly, they scan for repeat offenders, the people, the habits, the patterns quietly dulling their edge. Monthly, they audit their image. What is being whispered when they're not in the room? What perception is forming in the shadows? And then, they adjust deliberately. They don't chase rumors, they shape whispers, control impressions, because what you ignore silently sabotages you. But what you measure, you master. System 3. Guard your time like a throne. Time is not power because it is scarce. Time is power because the powerful make it feel scarce. Machiavelli warned, a wise prince must learn not to be endlessly generous, especially with his energy. In today's world, that means access to you is never assumed. It is earned. Every phone call is optional. Every meeting is expensive. Every message is a negotiation. People don't just take your time, they must license it. And this is not rudeness, it is rarity. And rarity is magnetic. In a world drowning in digital noise, rarity becomes magnetic. You must become someone people feel lucky to reach. Someone whose attention carries weight, and that begins with ruthless clarity. If it isn't essential to your mission, it waits or it vanishes. System 4. Master emotional distance. The weak suppress emotion. The weak are consumed by it. The powerful do neither. Instead, they observe it, they feel it, and then they weaponize it. Machiavelli would say, feel what you must, but let no one see that it governs you. Insulted? You feel the heat, but you strike silent. Betrayed? You take note, but you strike only when the moment is right. Shame, guilt, rage, fine. But those emotions are tools, not rulers. The most dangerous man is never the one who feels nothing. It is the one who feels everything and still bends it into a blade. The most dangerous man is the one who feels everything, but only acts when it counts. Emotion becomes fire, and fire becomes steel when forged into weapon. System 5. Cultivate a reputation that acts for you. Machiavelli's sharpest insight was this. Once a prince has a reputation, he no longer needs to act. His name moves first. His presence precedes him. You must build a reputation like armor. Not fame, not attention, but whispers. He doesn't tolerate disrespect. She walks away without a word. You only get one shot with him. This is enforcement through echo. You don't argue. You disappear. You don't retaliate loudly. You remove access and let silence do the cutting. Soon you won't need to draw boundaries. Others will draw them for you before they even speak, because your name itself becomes the line. System 6. Evolve without announcing. The weak broadcast their growth, they post about their grind, they beg for applause at every milestone. The powerful do none of that. Machiavelli's most lethal advice: never let them see you coming. When you evolve, you say nothing. You reveal nothing. You simply arrive, different, sharper, quieter, unreadable. And by the time they realize what you've become, it's already too late to match you. No explanation, no preview, just arrival. Because the powerful don't build a brand, they build a myth. Your presence must be so sharp it writes itself into the minds of others. System 7. Reshape the world around you. All the inner work dies if your environment doesn't mirror it. Machiavelli would never allow a prince to sharpen his mind while living among fools. So now, you must architect your surroundings to reflect your identity. Start with your space. Remove clutter. Add symbols of command. Every object should whisper authority, not distraction. Your environment is not decoration. It is reinforcement. It must look, feel, and breathe like the throne room of the life you are building. Carve out spaces for solitude, for focus, for reflection. Your environment should not feel like a living room. It should feel like a throne room. Then turn your eye to your network. Audit it without mercy. Cut the ones who talk too much, think too little, react without purpose. Remove the impulsive, the shallow, the weak. Replace them with minds that are sharp, strategic, even dangerous. And if that means you walk alone more often, so be it. Better to stand alone in strength than surrounded in weakness. Finally, control your schedule. Make others feel fortunate to find even a crack in your time. Because proximity to you should never feel casual, it should feel like privilege. Protect 2 to 3 sacred hours every day for uninterrupted intensity. No distractions, no apologies. Your life is no longer random. It is a machine. You are not just enforcing discipline, you are building a kingdom. System 8. Reset power daily. Here is the final Machiavellian law. Power is not owned, it is rented, and the rent is due every single day. Every morning, the world resets. It doesn't care who you were yesterday. It doesn't care who feared you, praised you, or followed you last week. So, you reset too. Each day you reassert your silence. You reclaim your stillness. You recommit to being a presence, not a performance. And then you ask yourself one question. What would the most dangerous version of me do today? And then you go do it. Not loudly, not theatrically, but relentlessly. By now, your power is no longer a mask you put on. It is no longer a mood you slip into when it suits you. Through discipline, through silence, through calculation, you have constructed an identity. But Machiavelli would warn you, none of it matters if the world doesn't feel it before you speak. This is the final level, embodied dominance. Power that radiates before words, presence that bends conversations, absence that haunts rooms. You no longer explain your strength. Your absence haunts rooms the weak beg to be respected without realizing how loud their pleas sound. But the powerful, they design their very being so they never need to ask. Step 1. Design your presence to speak. Before a single word leaves your mouth, your posture becomes your opening statement. Shoulders back, chin level, movements slow and deliberate, as if you own every second of your life. Your eye contact is deliberate, not aggressive, not needy, just steady, unshaking awareness. You don't look at people, you look through them, and when you enter a room, you pause, not in hesitation, but in assessment. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must appear strong even if he is not." Why? Because image governs outcome. The second you are seen as soft, you've already lost leverage. So you train your presence daily, not for theatrics, not to impress, but to signal one message. I am not someone to test. I am someone you want beside you, never against you. Step 2. Become the resource, not just useful, not just valuable, but the rarest form of resource, the one people depend on yet cannot easily reach. Power isn't earned by being impressive. It's earned by being irreplaceable, not just useful, but useful in a way no one else is, and then making that usefulness scarce. You don't simply provide value, you become the source, the well everyone depends on, but few are allowed to drink from. You master something vital, you control access to it, and you deliver it with precision so sharp that your presence feels like oxygen, and your absence feels like suffocation. You control access, you decide when and how you show up. People must qualify to remain close, through loyalty, through value, through discretion. And when you do appear, you arrive like a blade, clean, sharp, irrefutable. You deliver the insight no one else could see, the clarity that slices through confusion, the strategy that ends the debate. Step 3. Handle threats quietly. Make results loud. When someone disrespects you, you don't warn them. You don't argue, you don't rage, you act once, clinically, irreversibly. No spectacle, no second chances, just silence, followed by an echo that does the work for you. The clarity that ends confusion, the strategy that slices through chaos. That is how you become unforgettable. That is how you become needed. Step 3. Handle threats quietly. Make results loud. Machiavelli wrote, "Injuries should be inflicted all at once, so that their sting is lessened." The powerful never lash out emotionally. They never retaliate publicly. They don't threaten. They decide. No chaos, no spectacle, just a silent cut. Clean, final, followed by an echo that does the punishing for them. You don't make threats, you make decisions. Someone disrespects you, say nothing. Prepare, wait, then remove the invitation, the opportunity, the access. Quietly, irreversibly, let your punishment be clinical, never chaotic. They won't see the knife, only the wound, and they will never forget who delivered it. You don't explain, you don't negotiate. You simply erase. You disappear people with precision. And soon the world begins to whisper. You don't want to end up like the last one who crossed them. You never have to punish twice. The echo does the work for you. Step 4. Become a myth, not just a person. At the end of all strategy lies this truth. You must become a story. Machiavelli knew it well. Legacy outlives logic. Myth outlasts fact. Your final evolution is this: to become a presence so sharp that people speak of you when you're not in the room and still don't understand you. That is power. You don't overshare. You don't explain your process. You let silence become your biography. You let victories arrive without announcement. You let others feel your rise without ever being invited into it. Don't tell them who you are. Make them wonder. Let the speculation spread. He only speaks when it matters. She always knows more than she says. He vanished, and now everything feels colder. This is how legends are born. You don't push an image. You create an aura. And the fewer people who truly know you, the more they project greatness onto you. You stop being just a man. You become a myth. Step 5. Architect a kingdom that reinforces you. The final mistake most make. They change themselves but not their world. Machiavelli would never allow a prince to sharpen his mind while remaining surrounded by clowns. So now, your external world must mirror your internal architecture. Your physical space must reflect precision. Remove clutter, add symbols of command. Curate a space where silence isn't awkward, it is expected. And your social world must evolve too. You do not keep the loud, the impulsive, the emotionally leaky in your orbit, even if they're fun, even if they're nostalgic. Because if your environment doesn't sharpen you, it dulls you. If your environment doesn't evolve with you, it drags you backward. So replace the shallow with the strategic. Fewer people, sharper conversations, tighter circles. Every person around you must either sharpen your edge or protect it. Your schedule should be locked like a fortress. 2 to 3 sacred hours every single day. No interruptions, no compromises, no noise, no endless scrolling, just intensity. You don't find time for mastery. You make time and guard it like a throne room. This isn't lifestyle design. This is empire construction. Step 6. Reset power every morning. Here is Machiavelli's final truth. Power is never owned. It is only rented. And the rent is due daily. No one cares who you were yesterday. No one fears the edge you used to have. Power fades the instant you stop asserting it. So every morning, you recommit. You assert your silence. You reset your frame. You choose presence over performance. And then you ask yourself, what would the most dangerous version of me do today? And you do it quietly, ruthlessly, with no request for validation. Because now you don't act powerful. You are power. You move like a storm people feel before they ever hear it. You speak like a blade they remember long after the words fade. You enforce lines no one dares to cross. You evolve so silently the world cannot catch you. You are not motivational. You are untouchable. You don't inspire. You command. And from this moment forward, you never ask for power again. You move, you speak, you are.